find out. Tariq, I'm very interested in knowing more about the role of the mind when it comes to an athlete, because I know you can be very powerful physically and your mind can destroy you. I mean, you see this in Olympic athletes as well, the nerves, the mindset, the negative images, whatever, visualization. So that's my first question. How important do you think it is, and how do you work around that?
Plays a really big role during the preparation and during the race. Let's take the Singapore example, the race for example. You start visualizing the race like months before it happens. You go through the whole race in your mind. You prepare yourself like for what could happen and how to avoid. You basically like play the tape all, over and over again in your head, just to make sure you go over everything, and so basically just so you don't get caught off guard during the race. And plus during the race, like with all the stress and all you have to endure during the race, you really need to have like a strong basically a willpower, you know, to keep going, and because it's very easy to just stop during the race and say, you know, the hell with it, like I'm just going to stop. So you really need to like you need to be really focused, and you really need to want to do the thing to actually complete the race, you know, at a certain even in short races, for example, like a 10K race or that sort of thing. When you're really racing, you really need to be focused, and basically it's all in the mind to endure the pain as well, you know. It's sort of like mind over matter, basically. You reach a level where you can filter out part of the pain, you know, just to keep on going.
And do you feel that? I remember during my running days, it was you kind of feel like it's you against yourself, yeah. And you spend so much time alone, more or less, you with your mind and with your thoughts. So where do you go? Where do you take yourself so that you're not in a dark place that'll make you quit the race?
During the race.
During the race, because you're running all these kilometers. I mean, God knows what it feels like to swim all these distances, but you're obviously having thoughts, and the thoughts, you know, you have to play them over. Somebody once said that it's like it's a form of meditation, basically.
Basically, I get to ask a lot. This question a lot by non-runners, like, what do you think about when you're running?
Yes.
Or what do you? And the truth is, I don't really know what I think about during running. Like,
do you have phrases that you tell yourself?
Not really. Like for me, you know, not really. No. I usually just focus on the run. I focus on my form. I try to remind myself to relax, because basically you can like. Without noticing, you get like a lot of stress in the muscles, or, you know, tension in muscles and that sort of thing. So for me, one technique is to remind myself, you know, to continuously remind myself to relax, to breathe correctly. For me, in the swim specifically, that's where I feel most isolated, you know. That's where you feel most of them, because in the swim you're basically most of the time your head is underwater, and you know, for long periods of time, and you're really isolated from everyone else around you. So that's where basically the mind plays a really big role for me. It took me a long time to really get comfortable to being for a long time in water, you know, without panicking, you know, because basically, like in swimming, and my first races, my main problem was panicking in the water. As soon as you panic, you lose the breathing.
Why would you panic in the water?
For me, it was just because that was not my place.
Because you're not used to it.
I was never used to it, you know. And the only reason I started swimming was to do triathlons. So for me, like, as soon as I panic, I lose my breath rhythm, and from there on, that's it. You know, just struggle to finish the swim. In Singapore, I thought about the swim a lot, like before we actually started. And even though it was where I was really worried, like where I would struggle the most, it was actually where I basically excelled the most in Singapore, which was very unexpected for me. I went through the swim in my mind a number of times, and I made it a point not to panic. Like even like till minutes before the race, I was just sitting there and don't panic. Whatever you do, just don't panic. And it went great. So it was for me. I was for myself, like it was something that I didn't expect.
You learn a lot about yourself, I guess.
You definitely learn a lot about yourself and a lot about your body. You like. Basically, you learn a lot. It's basically a connection between your mind and your body. You know, it's continuous feedback between your mind and your body.
Yeah.
So basically, your body sends a lot of information to your mind. So you have to teach your mind to interpret this information. You know, what to make out of it.
Have you, Sagar? Have you ever hit the wall, as they say? Have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you've reached your maximum and you can't go anymore?
Well, I did. This happened to me twice, but most recently, actually, during the run leg in the IronMen in Singapore. I remember, telling myself in the swim, just go with the flow, because you can't really see anything. The water in Singapore wasn't clear, so I got to the bike. And I was, my main concern was like, okay, where's Tariq now? Okay, now Tariq is here. That means, I'm ahead of Tariq with this much time.
And that's all that matters at this point.
Yeah, to me, I was constantly, because it was going and coming and going and coming. The bike leg was 3 times of a loop. So we passed each other so many times. So every time I pass, I look at my, my GPS watch and I start measuring the time, the distance, and to sort of know exactly how much ahead am I on Tariq, because the running leg is next and he is faster than me in run. So
I just want to stop you there and ask, who won in the end? Who beat whom?
Well, was 1 minute ahead of me.
Okay, it's on record.
Yeah, it's on record. What happened was I came, I put my bike on in the transition in the rack where exactly it's supposed to be, and I started running. And I reached about 3 or 4 kilometers, and then all of a sudden I got this sort of stomach ache. The stomach ache started somewhere to the right, and then I ignored it, but all of a sudden it went under my ribs and close to my heart.
It was like a stitch, kind of cramp.
I wasn't sure exactly because being a diabetic, I was sort of I started panicking. So I stopped actually. I started walking, and it was really painful. I didn't know, should I go and check on my heart? Is it my heart? Is it not my heart? And if I go and check and it turns out to be my heart, are they gonna pull me out of the race? I didn't want to be pulled out of the race. So I started walking and then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go check. I just wanna, let me try to run. So I started running again, but but I couldn't even move my legs. So I started panicking again. Is it my heart? Is it worth it? I'm thinking of my family or my kids. What am I gonna do? It's just a race. I have some more important issues back home. Should I go and check? Should I not? I passed by the medic tent so many times, looking at it, and I'm like, should I check or not? Because if it turns out not, being not my heart, I can at least try to push and take the pain, and just go ahead and finish up whatever is left from my race. But I decided not to go and check, and just to try to take it easy and just do whatever I can to the end of the race. So I was waiting for Tariq to show up. And the run leg was also going and coming, but Tariq wasn't showing up. But the last kilometer, actually the last half kilometer, that's when Tariq came, and it turned out he had also some issues of himself, some other issues, and
at least you guys made it eventually.
Well, yeah. So, but as soon as I passed the finish line, I went to the tent, and they checked everything, and they said it's not my heart. And I think it was something to do with whatever I ate before, whether it's the water or I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was something. Obviously I did something wrong, but it's an experience, and I want to make sure that I don't hit the wall again. So to make sure that I have some sort of make sure exactly that my mind tells my body that self-discipline is the most important thing before the race, so many days before the race and during the race itself. Self-discipline is actually controlled by the mind.